Okay, so let's build a cabinet. It's an upper cabinet in a bathroom. It has 2 doors and an open shelf. The only difference on this job is that I built this particular cabinet out of MDF core, and my usual core is the classic core. It's the plywood core, specifically classic core. I have another video on that. So with plywood core like this, my standard screw is like that, and with MDF core we'll be using what's called a conformat screw. So that's the only difference in this entire build that's different from my usual cabinet construction. But as far as everything else goes, how I cut it, how I edge band it, how I assemble it, the methods used, it's all the same. You would also use these particular kind of screws on a particle board core, which I rarely do. Except for I do some cabinets from my own shop with particle board core. There's absolutely no complicated joints. There's no dados, there's no rabbets. Everything is done with screws and nails, and it's built with one sheet of material, a 3/4 inch sheet, to keep things simple and less expensive. And I'll give some alternatives as to how to edge band other different ways. And obviously I have an edge bander, a big machine. But there are a few other ways that you can do it that I will demonstrate during the video here. I did a lot of other cabinets for this particular job, like a whole bathroom with base cabinets, a rollout laundry hamper, some special uppers, medicine cabinet kind of in the sides. So you'll see what is a really good procedure, I think, for building a very strong cabinet, one that will last, and is one of the easiest ways that I know of to build a cabinet. And you don't have to use the material that I used for this job. On this job, I used what's called reconstituted rift white oak, and it's basically a man-made material. They actually use poplar, I believe, to manufacture this grain. This is supposed to be a copy of rift white oak, which is this right here. This is rift white oak. The rift is the straight grain. The reason I went with reconstituted is because sheet to sheet, they're all going to be the same. We're going to be edge banding the front as well as the bottom edge of the box. And that's because it's above a toilet and you're going to see underneath. So we're going to edge band, like I said, the front, the bottom, as well as the cabinet, the back of the cabinet on the bottom, just the bottom of the back. And that way, when you look underneath, it's all veneer rather than seeing, you don't want to see MDF on the bottom. The cabinet ends on this particular job are unfinished because it's wall to wall. If you have a different situation, you're obviously going to have to modify that. One sheet of plywood, and I'm sure you can almost make any size with one sheet. And that way you save money, you don't have to get more materials than just one sheet. But you do need some sort of edge banding, and you can make that either out of solid wood, or you can buy a roll of tape, which I'll show you. Okay, the blade's still going. So whenever you're cutting a narrow piece this way and it's long, and to try and do this could be a little bit scary. So first I use the miter station that I have. So I would cut it over on the miter station, come back here, and then clean it up, because the miter saw is not going to give me a super clean edge on both sides, which normally I need. Okay, so I have an edge bander for putting on the edge tape, whether it's PVC or real wood, comes in a roll. I'm gonna show a couple of my main other methods that I would use if I didn't have an edge bander. I put it on before the cabinet is actually assembled. In this video, I only wanna show spray contact cement or water base. I'm just gonna show these two methods in this video. And if you want to see more, then check out my video on edge banding. Let's just imagine these are your cabinet sides. I just grabbed some small pieces for the demonstration. You would stack them like that, and then you would take your pieces, and you can they just need to be a little bit longer. This stuff just breaks off real easy. So you cut your pieces or break them. Right. And since they're kind of like loose like that, it makes it hard to spray because of that. What I do is I take the spray and I actually just put a little bit down there, right? I let that dry a little bit. So now that that's tacky, you would just take your pieces and that would help hold them down. But shake that and then you spray it. You would put a piece of scrap material here. Something so you don't have to clean up too much. Okay, you let that dry. So you just wait a few minutes until it's tacky and not wet anymore to apply it. And then you simply place them on there, pressing each one like that. So you do the same thing to each of these. And then just carefully put those on there. And that's it. And you either route or file depending on which method you prefer. I prefer the router for sure. Just make sure you have it set right. And let's actually run this one here. Overall, that's pretty good right there. And then just file each one of those. The only problem with contact cement is that it does leave residue, and I hate gloves. And then of course, you gotta clean it up, clean off that glue. That's it. So I wanna demonstrate water-based contact cement and using that as well as how I remove it from the actual pieces. Whether I use a file to remove the edge tape, whether I use this Virotex trimmer, or a router I've already shown, so I'm not going to do that in this demonstration. Also, I have this special tool here, which is I use for thicker PVC banding. I'm going to brush contact cement, which is this right here, is the contact cement. And there you go. So let's do that. This area, whoa, that's even worse. Okay, this kind of sucks. Okay, now it's tacky and I can put the pieces on there. Okay, there we go. Just put it on there. That was down nice, you see? This one's actually thicker, I think 2 millimeter. This one is that. Contact cement and brush it on. Just like that. And just brush on there. Nice layer. Not too thick, but thick enough. You're gonna want to do that on all your pieces. Pretty simple. Okay, so you can see I'm just doing a closer up shot. Show that. So on this, I put some green tape on here, maybe to save on some cleanup time. And I take the foam brush on that, and we're going to want to brush that on there. Now the hard part is that this, you don't want to get it in between the pieces, so I'm not a total fan of this method, but it does work. But you want to make sure you cover well the whole thing, because it soaks in there. And you could, if you want, do 2 coats. I generally don't find that necessary, but make sure you don't miss anything. So we're going to let all this dry, this right here. And that's the other thing with water-based, is depending on the temperature, it may or may not be workable for you. Here in California, it usually works, no problem, especially in the summer. So we need to give this probably a half an hour is my guess, even up to an hour. But you don't want it too dry, but you want it completely clear, so that this is milky white now, but it becomes clear later on, okay? You can see it can get kind of messy. So there's going to be some cleanup with this. So that's where the spray contact cement will probably be a little bit better for some circumstances. All of it is clear. It's just, it's dry to the touch. And over here, the same with these pieces. You get a good look at that. And now we press the pieces. I'm going to do this one first, just the plain white one. All right, and you just press that on good. I mean, that's the key to part of doing this right, is pressing it well. Okay, we'll set that to the side. We'll do the next one. I'm going to do this, this is a high gloss material. It's thicker. And if they're long pieces, it's always good to start from one end and just kind of make sure that you're overlapping on each side and work your way down. And then press that really well down. Okay. Then we'll go to the next one. Take this. We're going to put this on, which is just a wood. Okay. Some cleanup to do, obviously. You know, that's why I like the spray adhesive. But if you're more careful than me, maybe you'll end up doing a better job. So let's go ahead and remove this PVC tape using the Virutex. You can cut these off a little closer to the edge. You just take this, it has arrows on it, so you point them in that direction. Put that there, you squeeze a little bit, and you take it all the way down. And your strips come right off, like that. And that's exactly how it looks. It's a clean cut on both sides. And then I use a file. I use the fine side. Okay, so I have it at this angle, and you never want to scrape it flat, but be slightly above. And so what you do is a forward stroke, and then come back, and there's no pressure on the backward stroke. So you just go and you round the edge by changing your angle. So right there, and then I go like that, and I just keep changing my angle until I get it slightly eased, right? And you can go about that much of an angle, just don't go flat. Okay? And then that's you can feel it, it's not sharp. Okay. Looks nice and clean. Now we're going to do the wood. So this works well with the Virutex, long as it's somewhat sharp. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to stop it right there to show you that that works. Okay? Except you can see, here you should be able to see, it got a little chippy. Okay? That side's clean. Okay, so let's use the file on this. Slight angle and slightly back, and the smooth side down, and the non-serrated side up against. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to cut like that. I'm just going to slide, and it's a perfect cut. It's so easy, it's not even funny. And you're just cutting like that, you're sliding. And it goes perfect. And then you take the smooth side and you just round it over. You do the whole thing like that. And you're just gonna slice, as long as it's nice and sharp. And then you flip it over and file that side. And you're done. And all you have to do is clean up the glue, which I've already shown how to do. This is really thick PVC. You can tell it's thicker by looking at the edge there. So underneath this blue is a shiny white. So the way to do this material is to let's cut the ends, okay? And then this material, because it's thick, this is not going to work so well. What you want for this material is one of these, okay? This has a ceramic blade, as you can see there, to cut it at a slight bevel. And you could start, it's hard to start at the beginning, so I'll start in the middle here and just work my way. There we go. And you can go backwards from that, go this way to get the rest of it. Okay? Does a good job. Flip it over. There we go. All the way. Look how beautiful that works. I'm sure you could use the router if you wanted to, and just a little bit of filing. Hardly any. That thing was actually working really well. You take this off, and you can see that's a real shiny. Can you see the shine on that? Yeah, there we go. It's good if you have acrylic doors. So hopefully that was helpful to show you a few more ways to use edge banding for the cabinet edges. If you actually know how to use a file, you can really do a lot with it as far as edge banding goes. I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't use a file, and that's not even a joke. So I want to go over something on the conformat screw and the drill bit that I use in order to countersink it and drill it into the cabinet for assembly. So this bit here, we'll just take this one on the left. These are all three for the same purpose. This one, and they all do the same. This is for the head of the screw. So the head goes right there, and the drill bit, for some reason, goes a little bit deeper than the screw itself. This is a 2-inch screw. And then this one, same thing. So it's a stepped bit, and yeah, you want to stop it there when drilling. This is a cheaper one. I'm not sure who makes it right now. Maybe it's Snappy. And this one, same thing. You would drill up to that point. If you drill deeper, you're going to be countersinking it in. I only go up to here when I drill it. So for drilling the hinge holes, this jig is actually really good. When I bought it, I thought it might be junk, but I've used this for situations where for the door where I had a middle hinge, but the door was too big to place on my drill press. So anyways, it's a really good one. I think if you're a DIYer, this is well worth it. I think it was only like 35 or 40 bucks. So I'll demonstrate that here. MDF is going to be a bit tougher than most woods for drilling into. And what's good about this jig is that it is already made 4 inches on center to the edge, and it has adjustment things here to easily adjust what I call the tab and the distance to the edge of the hole. That's called the tab. So anyways, you place it on there like that. If this was the edge of your door, and I'm going to drill into MDF to show you how it is a little more difficult than some. So right on the edge, you would hold it down and make sure that you're snug on there. I would bear my weight on it. Keep drilling. That part. Sure. That's all the way. There you go. Makes a pretty nice hole. I don't know if that chip was caused by me or what. You would then put a hinge on there and screws like I'll show in the video, and that's it. This is the tab, the distance from here to here. 1/8 of an inch is kind of typical, but definitely test for your hinge. So this needs a 1/2 inch depth for the cup, and that's what this gives you when it stops right there at the minimum amount. You can't even make it shallower if you wanted to. So this is the kind of hinge that I should have used. It's got this bend to it, and it's made for inset application. And I'll just do this as a quick demo as to what I should have done, and marked it just this distance. You could flush it out with the front of your cabinet like that, and then you can either mark the hole or figure out where that center line would be. These rubber bumpers are on an eccentric. They're offset, the screw is offset so that it's adjustable, so that you could actually take and loosen that and spin it, and your door would bump out farther. If it helps you in any sort of project you're doing, let me know in the comments. And if you have anything else you want to comment about, go ahead and put that in there. And oh, one other thing, subscribe if you would like to see further content like that. All right.